Hello there. Turn down my music here. I should just turn it off. How are you guys? So I am going to bring Kerry Mathes on here in just a second. And we're going to talk about emotions today, which is a great subject. I'm going to put some of my lip gloss on. My Savvy Minerals lip gloss that I love. Have you guys tried it? And I love to put it on over the lipstick. Love it, love it. Love that I can have non-toxic makeup. Debbie, how are you? It's good to see you here. I am just waiting to see Kerry's name pop up. And okay, so there is Kerry's name. So I'm gonna bring her on camera here. And then we will get started. This is so fun having two of us. Oh, here she comes. There she is. And I can hear you great.
Whoops, sorry guys.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Get yourself adjusted.
Hello.
How are you?
I am awesome.
How
about you?
I'm in Oklahoma and Kerry is in Idaho. Coeur d'Alene. Did I pronounce that? How do you pronounce your city?
Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene. Okay.
But a lot of people say Coeur d'Alene. Yeah. So, but anyway, we welcome all you guys. They're getting ready to do the Melissa planting and harvesting and taking care of all that down in St. Mary's, which is literally like 30 minutes away from me. So that's kind of my neck of the woods.
That's so awesome. Hi, Katie. Hi, Mary. Let's see. I think someone else came on. Vicki. Great to have you guys.
I see Vicki.
So I thought we should start out because we're always getting new people in this group. So if we just kind of real quickly tell just a little bit about ourselves. How about you start, Kerry? Just, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Kerry Mathes, and I am a mom of 4 teens, and my hubby is retired Air Force. He's a realtor now. And Allison and I met, well, I'm in her downline, but we met when we were stationed in Enid, Oklahoma. And we had a lot in common because we were both in Bible study. We both were into natural food. We both had children adopted from foreign orphanages. We both homeschooled. We were both Christian. So we kind of X'd all the boxes together and started learning about oils together. So I'm up here now, and I've been doing a business, I'd say hard for probably a couple years, maybe 2.5 years or so. And I'm like this close to silver. Yay! And my big thing, I'm trying to sort of narrow things down instead of just, everything oils. So right now I'm kind of focusing on emotions and mental health, and especially for teens. So that's kind of my dealio right now. Cool. But I'm happy to be here and talk with everybody.
Well, that is very exciting. I can't wait to talk more about this. And real quick, I am Allison Davis, and I am living in Enid, Oklahoma. We miss Kerry from Enid. And hi, Evie. How are you? And I have 5 children, ages 20 down to 8. The first 3 are biological. Last 2 are adopted from Russia and then Ethiopia. And we've been homeschooling the whole time, but actually this year in November, we put our littlest 2 in our local Christian school that is our kind of neighborhood school. It's a few blocks away. And so multiple reasons for that, but that's been a bit of a change. It's been a great change. And so my husband's a lawyer, and we've been doing this oils for like 8 years, natural health for a lot longer than that. But so anyway, I'm excited to be here and talk about emotions, because this is, we talk a lot about our physical health and how to stay above the wellness line, and just, a lot about the physical. We talk mostly about that, really. But the emotional is so huge. And I always say, when I'm talking to people that are new to like this group, or just somehow involved in essential oils and things like that, that my 3rd favorite book to tell people to get, and I'm not going to go into this yet, but I just want to show it. We call it the blue book. It's the blue book. And it's called Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils. And if you don't have this book, I recommend you get it. You can get it on Amazon. Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils by Carolyn Mein, M-E-I-N. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but Kerry, I thought I would just read a few paragraphs out of Healing Oils of the Bible on talking about emotions real quick. Hi, Sherry.
Absolutely.
Just to give us a little sort
Sherry.
of foundation on what we're talking about. So let me just read, just stay with us here, and let me just read a little bit from this on some basics. Okay, so one of the most powerful healing aspects of essential oils is their ability to penetrate the so-called blood-brain barrier. When you breathe oil molecules into the back passages of your nose, they go straight to the brain in a central part called the amygdala. This is the central headquarters of the limbic system, which manages your storage and filing system for all your emotional experiences. This part of the brain does not understand words and cannot be communicated to with spoken or written language. It responds only to smell. How about that? Only to smell. Hence, essential oils provide a powerful means to contact that nonverbal portion of the brain that stores our feelings and emotions. This is why when we smell something, it can remind us of, grandma's kitchen or, just different things like that. And then this is how emotions can make us sick. When an essential oil penetrates into the central brain, it makes it possible for us to access forgotten memories of emotions with which we need to deal. Stored emotions can make us sick, and we store emotions all over our body. They used to think that it was just stored in the brain, but now they realize they're stored all over the body in different organs in different places. And our body is just like this massive computer that holds all this stuff. If they are stored in the stomach, you can have stomach ailments. If in the pancreas, you can have diabetes. If in the liver, you can have those many problems there. If in the thyroid or other endocrine glands, you could have hormonal problems. If in the joints, you could have arthritis. Stored emotions can cause cancer too, which is why women whose breasts are their physical expression of love and nurturing often have breast cancer. In such cases, some emotional trauma has been repressed and stored in cellular memory that blocks a woman's natural ability to let love flow toward others and or toward themselves. Hence, when essential oils trigger an emotionally upsetting memory, it gives us an opportunity to deal with that emotion and release it from our systems, thereby affecting a healing. Sometimes this healing is instantaneous with the release of the emotion, and sometimes it takes longer. In either case, a healing results. Yes, anger in the liver, grief in the lungs.
Absolutely.
So that's just a little basic stuff, and there's so many books that we'll recommend some books at the end here to really dive deep into emotions and how they play a big part in what we're doing. And I mean, people, those of us, Kerry, tell me if you do this, but I'll be like, okay, this physical thing, and I'm trying to figure it out and deal with it and and then it's like, oh my gosh, I need to look at the emotional side of this. So it's not my first go-to to think about.
Well, and you're absolutely right. And I always tell the story when I teach this emotions class that there was a time when I was struggling nonstop with this pain in my shoulder, and it was just in one, and it was in a specific spot. And I'm telling you, like, I pulled out all of your typical oils. I had my Panaway and my Copaiba and, my lavender and everything that you would think of for a situation for tense, muscles and soreness to support my body and healing that. And I'm telling you, like a week of that, and it just didn't do anything. And finally, light bulb, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to use the blue book, and Allison will tell us how to do this, to look up the trigger point in the chart and then see what emotion is attached to that trigger point. And I tell you what, it was a slap in the face, because when I read what the book said, I was like, oh, Yeah, exactly. That's me. And so I used the oil that was recommended. And Allison will talk about the affirmations in the blue book later. It gives you an affirmation, but I always also couple that with a Bible verse that's applicable for me in that situation. And one day of doing that, and that pain was gone.
Yeah.
And so even if we aren't consciously thinking about how our emotions affect us, I mean, we know that when we get worried, we get a little tense, or if you're nervous, maybe your stomach gets upset. But there's so much more to it. And so I would just encourage all of you, if you're struggling with something in your body that you feel like you've addressed the physical aspect of it, and you're not moving forward the way that you want to be, I would really encourage you to take a look at any of the resources that we're going to mention and address with prayer and affirmation the emotional component of it, because it's so integral to your health. And once we can understand, that our mental health and our emotional health and our physical health are all linked together, it's just so much easier to address any sort of challenge or struggle that comes your
Yeah.
way.
So true. And even if we could get to right when we notice something, we're looking up the emotional part too, even, in addition to if we've been struggling with something for a while, but like the goal is to do it right away, because which
Right.
I can't say that I'm always successful at all, but I'm always amazed at what comes out of it when I start looking at that. And multiple times I
Right.
have been with people where we've done the Zyto scans or the Itovi scans and whatever oils come up. And then we pull out the blue book and look what emotions are connected. And I mean, literally, it's like every single time that person is just like, light bulb goes on. Oh my gosh, that's exactly. And I'm
Yeah.
talking about a book full of emotions. There's probably 250 or 300 emotions listed in here. So it's not like,
Right.
oh well, everybody could
Right.
relate to that. No, there's a lot of
Yeah.
different stuff. I look at this book kind of as a gold mine of emotions because it's kind of hard to think about all the different emotions. I mean, there's some major categories, but there's a lot in here. It's so helpful. Um,
And it really is, like Allison said, it's super specific. It's not just like grief, sadness, anger. I mean, it's like
yeah,
very specific. And
yeah,
so I always encourage people, look through the whole list and see what is applicable to you right now at this point and try that. But you're right. We tend to push it to the back burner until we've exhausted all other
right.
options, and that should be like at the forefront.
Because, and this is widely known in circles like this, really the core cause of most physical ailments is emotional or spiritual. I
Yeah.
mean, and there are a lot of books dedicated to that idea. And I mean, when you start looking at the holistic picture of how we are made up, mind, will, and emotion, spirit, soul, and body, that makes a lot of sense. You start reading about it. And so
Mm.
I think, that might be a paradigm shift for some people, to go, really, are you
Right.
kidding me? The emotions cause this, what about eating? What about, just genetics or, but you start reading about this and you will be amazed at how key it is, how important it is.
Absolutely. And I would like to add too, because I know that a lot of people who are new to natural health, um, and just the whole concept of treating your body as a whole, um, I don't know about you guys, but some of the Christian background that I was brought up with tends to think of this stuff as you shouldn't get near that. It's new age. No,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. This is
it
from
is.
God. I mean, read his word. The power of our words are amazing, and what we can think and how we can let God and the Holy Spirit work through us. Don't let someone lie to you and tell you that this is not
Yeah,
of God, because this is 100% God. I mean, Satan, we know, always takes things and
right.
twists them around. to make a copy
Exactly.
of things, and that's what the new age is. But I don't want anyone to be fearful about this. And, you know, Bible in one hand, your oils
Yeah.
in the other, and good mentors, and you don't have anything to be afraid of about this. It's from
Absolutely. I
God.
mean, in the Healing Oils, the Bible class that we do, we get into emotions and verses, and you know, it is there. So yes, I thank you so much for pointing that out. I think let's just talk about this blue book and how it works. I'll start and jump in
Sure.
anytime, interrupt, whatever. So this is a reference book. And like, you know, you can see here's some reference. There are some charts at the back that will show what we call alarm points, different points on the body. And and don't worry about that either, because that alarm points, you know, alarm points are what they use in acupressure and acupuncture, and that is a real modality. Again, if you're somebody that has been indoctrinated into Western medicine, like we all were pretty much. I mean, my goodness, I grew up with a surgeon for a father, an OBGYN for a mother-in-law. My grandfathers and great grandfathers were doctors. Of course, I wish I could talk to my great grandfather because he's probably doing stuff we're doing today. You know, so long ago. But you know, just being indoctrinated into that makes us think of things like Eastern medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncture, acupressure. You know, that's a bunch of whatever hooey. You know, a lot of people think that, and it's not. I mean, ultimately, these things are going to combine someday, and that's going to be a good day, but we're not completely there yet. So anyway, that's what we're talking about with alarm points. It's just points on the body. Jennifer, how are you?
Right. Hey, Jennifer.
So
And hey, Alexa, I saw you pop in
yes. Oh,
too.
and I wanted to, Katie, you said my migraines have been directly tied to my emotions 90% of the time. I'm glad to hear this, as this is the path I've started down. I'm so glad you are starting down this path, because it's huge. It's
Absolutely.
huge. Okay, so let me just start. So there's a lot of ways you can look at this book. You can, if you have an area, an issue on your body, like a specific place, you can go to the alarm point, the list of the alarm points, look on those charts of the body and see where is it on your body and what's that alarm point called.
Right.
So you can start with that route. And then, and if you do that, you will look at the alarm point over here on this column right here. You will move to the next column and it will tell you which oil to use. And then you will move to the next column and it will tell you which emotion is associated with that alarm point. So cool. Then when you find that emotion, you're good. Thank you, Jennifer. You are going to go over to the emotions list. So there's several lists. There's one list where it starts with emotions. There's one list where it starts with oils. And there's one list where it starts with alarm points. And so then you would go over to the emotions and you would look through that. So I'm going to get to that specifically in just a second. So that's how you might start, maybe with a point on your body that is an issue. You might also start with an oil. Maybe you did a Zytoscan or an Itovi scan and whatever oils popped up. And you just, and I always want to look at what's the emotion that's connected. You must admit it took me a while to learn how to use this book. Yes, but once you do it, it's not it's not too difficult. So you look up that oil. And when you look up that oil, it's going to tell you the emotion associated with that oil and then the alarm point of where you would put that oil. And so it also might be, you also might come at it from the oil piece, because maybe there's an oil that you've discovered you can't stand.
Right.
And they
exactly.
always say, if
or
there's
that
an
you
oil
can't get enough.
that you can't stand, you need it. So don't just go, oh, I don't like that. I'm not ever going to smell that one again. Hey, Ashley, great to have you here. So you might do it from that point. Or maybe there's an oil that you can't get enough of, like you are just addicted
Right.
to. I'm gonna tell you, I still feel that way about nutmeg, and I've been putting it on my adrenals for 8 years. um, and
Yeah.
I just, and nutmeg's a great smell too. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but that's, and
I'm that way with cedarwood. And for me, cedarwood flipped. So like I used to hate
yeah,
cedarwood, and then I just decided, I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it's because I need cedarwood. And now it's my favorite. And I still feel like my body really needs it because I crave it. Like I could
yeah,
eat cedarwood. That's how much I
yeah,
love it now. So yeah, Allison's exactly right. Pay attention. Your body is telling
yes,
you
yes.
something.
I'm that way with vetiver, um,
Yeah.
which is a squirrel.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of those oils,
Yeah.
like, let's focus here. Let's focus. And cedarwood, I love cedarwood too. I mean, every night I've got cedarwood going. I need to look that up. But I'm sure I've looked
Yeah.
it up in the past. I don't recall right off what it is.
Yeah.
But okay, so we can go at it from the oils that you love or hate or whatever. And by the way, if you will take one of those oils, and if you look it up and you're like, I don't like this at all, but boy, I need it. I can see I need it. Put it on the bottom of your feet at bedtime for
Right.
a couple of weeks, 3 drops on each foot. And that's exactly what I did with purification. This was a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I couldn't stand purification. And
Yeah.
finally, I must have looked something up and I'm like, oh man, I need this. And so that's what I did. I put it on my feet, put it on my feet. And then the pendulum went to the other end and I couldn't get enough purification. I was diffusing it everywhere. I carried it with me. I
Right.
loved it. Like I wanted to eat it. And now it's just totally leveled out. Purification, I like it.
Right.
It's nice. I don't want to eat it and I don't hate it. It's so it did some work in me. I mean, it does work. It's doing some work at the cellular level in us.
It does. And I tell you, purification is one we always joke about in the emotions class because it's often used to address
Mm-hmm.
anger, and there are some more specific things. But the
Yep.
alarm point um, for purification, no joke, and don't think I'm weird, is the nipple area. So it's like you feel kind of weird every morning putting a little purification on your nipple area. But I'm telling you, because purification's one of the ones that I had to work through some anger stuff too. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, and um, it worked. It does, and now I'm the same way. Like I like the smell of it. I'll pop it in the diffuser every once in a while, but it's not like I need it all the time.
I have to
So,
tell
yeah,
I have to
sorry.
tell a really funny story. And Ebby was with me. We went down to Dallas to teach some classes. Have you heard this story? And we're sitting, and this
No.
lady had a really nice Saturday morning brunch for us to come to her house. I'm pretty sure she lived in Highland Park, which is a really nice
Okay.
area, really nice house.
Yeah, I know. That's where my husband's from.
Okay, ladies that were nicely dressed for tea. And so Ebby and I come in and we set up all our books and then we start doing this class and we're sitting next to each other. And I had not looked it up. I was just going to do it randomly. So I'm talking about this book.
Right.
And I was like, so for example, let's look up anger. And then I go through and I'm like, uh-oh, in my mind. And I look, Ebby, look what the alarm point is. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, so that's going at it from the oils. And then the other way you can go at it is just from an emotion. I mean, one of the first things I did when I got this book was I just scanned down all of these emotions and I put a little check mark by any emotion that I just kind of dealt with, whatever it was. And I just kind of went through the whole book. And then maybe I narrowed it down to some of the major ones. And then this was in the very beginning. And then I got some of those oils that were appropriate. What I love about the emotions part, and this is once you figure out if you're going at it from the oil part or from the alarm point part, which will then take you over to the emotions part.
Right.
I love it. The first thing it has is the opposite. And we might think, oh, well,
Yeah.
it's easy to know what the opposite of an emotion is. The most times I'm like, oh, wow, that's the opposite of that. It's just like, I couldn't have come up with
Right.
that necessarily. And so it tells you the emotion, it tells you the opposite of the emotion. So then you really are able to just get a real good sense of exactly what that emotion is and exactly what it would be not to have that emotion, what the opposite would be. Then it gives
Right.
you an affirmation, which again, a lot of times people will get a Bible verse that's maybe kind of similar,
Right.
appropriate if they want to, and use that too, or with it, or instead, whatever. Then it gives you the oil, then it gives you the alarm point, and then it gives you the chart, excuse me, where you can find the alarm point and then figure out where you're going to put it. And in a little bit here, we'll talk about, there's a little simple clearing procedure that's on one of the pages here. It's just step by step kind of what to do. So, I mean, I'm just going to list a few emotions. It's alphabetical. Abandonment, abundance, abuse, acceptance, addiction, adrenal exhaustion, aggression, agitated, being alone, aloneness, ambivalence, anger, anguish, annoyance, anxiety. You know, so it's just there's a lot. So I'm going to just give a for instance that I was just looking at, and in the past, I have had UTIs, and I am using very conscious language here, which is so important for us. I'm not going to say I have UTIs, or I'm not going to own it, and I'm not going to talk about it in the present or the future. I am not going to do that. That's speaking death over myself. I'm not going to do that. I don't mean death,
Right.
literal death, but it is. It's a sort of dying of whatever, different things. But so in the past, I have had UTIs. And so what I did was I looked up on the alarm points. I looked up bladder. And let's just do that. Give you an example of how you might go about this. And on bladder, it has 3 different emotions. So sometimes they'll just be one emotion associated with that alarm point. Sometimes there's like 6 emotions. I think I've seen that many. And so and each one has a different oil associated with it. So what you want to do is look at those emotions and see which one really resonates for you. You know, usually one of them is going to stand out if there's more than one. Right. And so there's 3 for bladder, and the one that I latched onto, there's 3. The 3 are ungrounded, letting go, and expectations. And the one that I looked at was letting go. And I think I had looked in another book, actually, this book too. Yeah. Feelings Buried Alive Never Die. And the emotion connected in that book was similar to letting go. And that was just the one that really, okay. Right. So letting go. So let's go over to the emotion list and look up letting go. Now, what's the opposite of letting go? It's happiness. I love that. Like, I wouldn't have thought that would be the option, the opposite. Yeah. But in general, I'm a pretty happy person. Now, at the same time, I'm a firstborn. I'm a type A. I got 5 kids and a busy house. And so sometimes letting go can be really difficult. Like, right. Things need to be a certain way. You know, you guys need to do these certain things. And so there's frustration. Right. And so the way out, the affirmation is let go and let God. The alarm, the oil is sage. Oh, I happen to have sage. This is a great reason to, build your stash up. I mean, it's really nice when you look something up and you have the oil that I'm talking about. Yes. That's really nice. Not to say there's not always another oil out there, but this is pretty specific. These emotions are. And then the alarm point is the bladder, which is actually on the bladder. Sometimes the alarm point, it says what it is, but it's in a different weird place. So you have to look up in the chart where it is. And then you just put the oil on that spot. Now, let me look at I want to look up the clearing procedure. Any comments or thoughts, Kerry, at the moment?
Well, I would just say you can also, this book, Heal Your Body by Louise Hay, is a really good companion to that
Yes.
as well, because while Allison was looking up hers, I was looking up bladder in here, and just to show you that this isn't just one author who decided that this is what this is going to be. I mean, she says that bladder problems are anxiety, holding on to old ideas, fear of letting go, and this is really funny, and being pissed off, and kind of that's maybe where the expression originally came from. And her affirmation is, I comfortably and easily release the old and I welcome the new into my life. I am safe.
It's just like chill out.
Exactly. So just another resource, and just so you know, like, this blue book isn't something that this lady just decided, hey, I'm going to assign this point to this emotion. No, this is all, these are all things that not only have anecdotal evidence, but have scientific evidence as to which alarm points and reflexology points and nerves are all feeding into this.
I mean, this has been going on for years and years and years. Like probably thousands of years, really. I mean, hundreds and thousands, because it's not new information. Okay, so this clearing procedure, which is on the book here, it's 7 steps. And so, and sometimes I think, you know, again, this might be something that people go, oh, is that really going to work? What we're doing is creating a new habit. That's what we're doing.
Right.
Because so we may have this habit of acting this certain way, and it may be ingrained in us from childhood. I mean, you know, really deep grooves in our brain, and, you know, just in how we are. Or it may be something kind of new, but it is just a habit, like a negative emotion. So step 1 is identify and feel the emotion. So just sit there and feel that emotion that's been troubling, that you know how to feel. Step 2, smell the appropriate oil, taking it into all your cells. And, you know, visualizing it going into all your cells. Our intent is huge. It is, and our belief, of course, is huge, but our intent and visualizing, again, that is, there's neuroscience information and studies on that. It's a thing. Number 3, feel the other side of the emotion. So that opposite, feel that emotion, imagine it in your mind and your body. Apply the oil to the alarm points. So you put the oil, a few drops, on the point of the body. Then also step 5, apply the oil to the emotional points on the forehead. So it's right here. It's right across about the middle, maybe a little closer to the eyebrows on the forehead.
Right.
And you do that with everyone. And then also the alarm point. And then number 6, focus on or say the statement that provides a way out. That's the affirmation. This allows you to move from a negative to a positive state. Continue breathing the oil until you feel the energy shift, and you will feel the energy shift. I mean, it absolutely, when you do that over and over, you will definitely feel it. Hi, Dia. Good to have you here. Then the last step.
I will say, Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, when you were mentioning the points. So if any of you are familiar with tapping at all, that's actually one of the points when you're doing your tapping routine, right? That you would tap, and that's why, because it's that emotional part. So you can also incorporate your tapping into your oils regimen with this as well, if that's something that you're already familiar with.
Yes. And then number 7, repeat as needed. It may be once, it may be 3, 7, 10, or 18 times a day, which is essentially every waking hour. It may be for 1 week, 3 weeks, or 7 weeks, essentially until the pattern is no longer present in your life. So again, it's a habit that we are breaking. And that's basically it. This book is, I think it's necessary if you're striving for health in a natural way. This is a big piece of it. So,
Absolutely.
Kerry, could you talk a little bit more about what you're doing in the whole? Well, you just said you're investigating emotions. You're kind of focusing in on that and the teen
Right.
stuff. Could you just talk a little more about
Exactly.
that? What's going on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've had actually I have my BA in psychology. So the mind and human behavior has always been interesting to me and always something that I've really liked. And so with the oils, they brought me physical stuff is what brought me to them in the first place. But when I started getting into what some people, ooh, all the emotional oils, the believe and the abundance and the highest potential and the gratitude and the hope, it took me a while to get there, guys. I'm not going to lie. Like I was kind of just in the, basil, rose, jasmine area for a long time. But once I started using, and the first thing I got was the feelings kit, and I would
Yes.
highly recommend that to anybody. If you're wanting to start
Yes.
out addressing emotions, grab that feelings kit. They put it together for a reason. It's
Yes.
fantastic. There are protocols for using it, which you can Google and find out. Feel free to PM me or comment on this thread if you want information about how to use that feelings kit. Um, but I just noticed a huge difference. And so I'm going to be really transparent here. We've really been struggling the past couple, 3 years with mental health and teenage behavior and my mental health dealing with that. And so we have really dove headfirst into exploring more of the emotional components of the oils. Now, like Allison said, it's all interconnected. I always tell people, you can't eat Cheetos and drink energy drinks and get no sleep and like slap some hope on and think it's going to make everything better, right?
Right.
It's a piece of the
Totally.
puzzle. But I've really been finding that it's a super important piece of the puzzle. And so I'm really feeling like the struggles that we've been through, the struggles that my friends have been through. I mean, you talk to people, and I think mental health and emotional health issues are something that sort of gets swept
Yeah.
under the rug, and no one really wants to talk
Totally.
about it. Number one, they don't want their loved ones to be labeled or at a disadvantage in any way. So that's one thing. And number two, we just really don't talk about it. It's like just sort of that thing that's underlying. So just finding that there are so many people that are struggling with similar issues that I've been struggling with and our family has been struggling with. In fact, I think Lori is doing a class on depression coming up here
It was last
soon.
week, actually.
Um,
Yeah.
was it last week? Okay, sorry, I'm out of the Enid
We should
loop
do it
now.
online, though.
Um, you
Yeah.
should,
Make a note.
but it's huge, guys. It's huge, and the benefits, honestly, of some of these oils and are amazing. And I'm not going to say it's like night and day, but they're really helpful. They're helpful for calming. It's a good bridge. It's a good avenue to add to your other holistic practices, or even working with your medical doctor if that's where you're at. Um, it's just amazing. And so my eyes are continuously being opened to how we can use them. And so I'm really working on ways to share that information with other people and let them know there is hope. There are things out there that you don't have to be locked into a negative circle mindset. There are things that you can do to help that. And like Allison mentioned earlier, with the whole limbic system and emotions and memory, it's it's the number one way that we can affect that. It's the number one way we can affect those emotions. And so it's really valuable. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm not sure if you guys knew
I
that or
didn't.
not. So starting after Mother's Day, I'm going to be doing a whole series on sort of mental health and physical fitness and oils on my IG account. If anyone is interested, you can pop over there and
Your
see
Instagram.
me. But I don't want, I guess my biggest takeaway from all of this would be, number one, all of the oils, not just the emotional oils, have an emotional component
Yes.
to them. And so even if you don't have that blue book that Allison was
Yeah.
talking about, which you should have,
Yeah.
guys, seriously, it's awesome. But if you have the pocket reference or the desk
Yep.
reference books, it's in there too. So when you look up an oil, it'll say fragrant influence, like it'll say medical properties and then fragrant influence. And usually in that section is kind of a little bit more about how it might affect you emotionally. Like, is it
Right.
calming? Is it grounding? Is it
Right.
uplifting? And so you can use that information as well. And also in that book, there's a section, a tiny section before the personal usage section in back that strictly is like a shortcut to what oils to use for certain
Yes.
emotions. And that's really helpful too. So if you don't have that blue book yet, pull out that pocket reference or that desk reference. There is information in there that is
Mm-hmm.
helpful that you can use. So yeah, I'm really excited about, helping people in a way also that's not super intrusive, because whether it's you, whether it's a family member, it's so much easier to be able to rub an oil on or to pop something in the diffuser, especially if you are dealing with someone
Yeah.
else who is in a negative
Yeah.
cycle and is not open, perhaps right now, to change in their life. Then just putting that in the diffuser and having it in a common
Mm-hmm.
area is a way that they
Get
can
some in. Mm-hmm.
smell that and get the
Right.
benefits of it without having
Hammer them
to
over the
sort
head
of
with it.
force something on
Yeah.
them. Yeah, exactly. And honestly, guys, one of the ones, Common Sense, is amazing. I used to laugh about it when I saw it. I'm like, Common Sense, like, really? I'm not kidding you. Like, the things that have happened in this household after I have put Common Sense in the diffuser is mind-boggling.
I'm writing that
So,
down.
um, yeah, exactly. I'm not kidding you. Like, I have four teenagers, so hello. But I mean, I've had them just sit there and stand up all of a sudden and be like, I really think I should go like clean up my room and organize my stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, you mean what I've been asking you to do for like 3 weeks now? But, and I don't know, I don't pretend to know how necessarily chemically it works or why it works. I just know that it has been working
Yeah.
for us. So, as silly or I don't know, out there or whatever as it seems, we really personally are finding the benefits of it. And I just say try it, It's certainly not going to
Yeah.
hurt anything to pop hope in the
Right.
diffuser,
Right.
right? And I also would encourage you, I know that the oils can be pricey sometimes, but I'm telling you, when my kids ask me for an oil or they're running out of an oil, like I make it a priority. Like that's what we're getting. If I have to cut something out of mine that month, then I do. Like I have one kid who goes through bottles of grounding, like I buy two a
Uh-huh.
month. One is lavender, and it's like, so we just put those things in our essential rewards card and just leave them there because I know right now that's what we're going through and that's what we're
Right.
using. Um, so I would just encourage you, don't be afraid to try. And I know some of them are pricier, but I'm just telling you guys, don't be afraid to try them. Put one, in your order, just one a
Yeah.
month, or grab one with your
Um,
points. I think you're going to be happy
yeah,
with it.
that feelings kit has 6 5 ml bottles of harmony, forgiveness, inner child, present time, release, and valor. So
Yeah.
those are some good ones for sure. Great place to start. And the kits
It
are
is.
always a better deal. I mean, than buying those separately. So you can look that up and see if that's something you want to start with. But yeah,
Right.
I just keep thinking when talking about mental health and I mean school shootings. I mean just all the stuff that's out there, and it always goes back to mental health. And
Right.
and a lot of times you find out that these kids were on some kind of or adults, whoever they were on some kind of
Right.
prescription drug I don't know what, to do with that. A lot of times that's what's happened out there. And I'm not saying I'm here to solve all that and figure that out. And I know what the answers are at
Right.
all, because it's a humongous subject. But like you said, people don't want to talk about it. But if we had something, which we do, like an essential oil that's going through the blood-brain barrier, that's getting to that
Right.
amygdala, that's the only route to get to that has to do with our emotions. It's the only route
Right.
into our body to affect that. I mean, we don't know everything. I mean, we've got to be willing, I think, to take this route and see what happens. See what happens.
Yeah.
So let's see. What time is it? 40. Wow, we've been talking for 45 minutes. Hi, Ashley, a really great kid, has pulled me through some crazy emotional issues. Dia says, I need forgiveness for sure. Yeah, don't we all? So yeah, these are big issues. They are definitely something to put in there with everything else you're working on. I mean, I say make this as much of a priority as what you're thinking about physically and dealing with physically. I want to show you some of the books that I pulled some out and Kerry pulled some out, and just you can write these down and look and see. Of course, the blue book, Releasing Emotional Patterns with Essential Oils by Carolyn Mein, Mein. And then Feelings Buried Alive Never Die by Carol Truman, and Carol is with a K. This is a really big one that a lot of people in Young Living use, that I've seen. And then here's a few more. The Aroma Freedom Technique, Using Essential Oils to Transform Your Emotions and Realize Your Heart's Desire, written by Dr. Benjamin Purkis. He's a clinical psychologist. His work bridges the fields of traditional psychology, energy psychology, and aromatherapy. And he lectures on emotional balance, brain wellness, transformation. So that is a big book in these circles. Here's another.
And Allison, if I can't cut in for just 1 second, that just reminded me of something. I just attended a class that Dr. Purkis taught, and this is for people that if you don't have any of these other oils yet, so he says you can make your own sort of emotional release blend by using equal amounts of lavender, frankincense, and stress away. And you guys should all have that because that's in your PSK. And so if you just make a synergy of that, in an empty 5 ml bottle or whatever, and he says, that is equally as effective for some of the emotional release as, release or inner child. And it's something to bridge the gap until you get those other oils. So that synergy, lavender, stress away, frankincense, think about that too.
That's fantastic. Thank you for saying that. Here's another book just on emotions that's really interesting. This doesn't have anything to do with essential oils, but it's called Molecules of Emotion, the science behind mind-body medicine. If you really are a science geek and like to get into that stuff, I think this is a great book. And you can get, of course, that by Candace Pert, P-E-R-T, Ph.D. on Amazon, Molecules of Emotion. And then you had a few other books there, didn't you?
I did. I think we have some of the same ones, but I had mentioned earlier Louise Hay's Heal Your Body book. So this is, it doesn't have anything about the oils in it, but it has trigger points in the body with emotional links to that and affirmations. So this is a real helpful one. And she's since passed away, but I think I have an app of this, but I'm not sure if it still exists. I think someone told me they may have pulled it, but you can find apps like this as well if you're not a hard copy person. So that's another one. I had the AFT book and obviously the blue book as well. And I have a couple other books, but one that I really found, The Emotion Code, is a really useful book as well. And this book is interesting in that it talks about not only how your emotions and emotions from your past can affect you, but how the emotions of your lineage can be passed on through biological means to you, and sort of how to break those patterns
Yeah.
as well. So not oil specific, but really interesting reading. And I think Alice knows a lot about the emotion code too. I think she may be the Alice Reynolds. I think she may be the one who turned me on
And
to it
Sherry
in the
and
first place.
Sherry
But
Fletcher.
oh, and Sherry too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is really helpful too, and he's got a Facebook page and all that stuff too. So if that's something that you're
Yeah.
interested in, that might be
We
another
have
outlet for you.
people come to Enid actually from a few hours away, and we'll book a day or two of sessions with people that, and they do the emotion code,
Right.
and is another thing called NAET, NAET, that's very similar type stuff. So
Right.
that's a whole nother area. So yeah, I've had that Louise Hay book for probably, let me think, I had it when I was 30 years, like this.
Right.
It's just, certainly been around longer again than that, but that
Right.
book is, a lot of people know about that book, and she's got several versions of it. Some are kind of bigger with pictures and things,
Yeah,
and some are little.
she does. And the nice thing with most of these books that Alice and I mentioned is not only is it a resource guide to look things up, but there's usually also a
Yeah.
protocol or a sample
Mhm.
protocol in there for you to follow. So you're not just like, okay, so I have the information, now what? It will lay it out step by step. And especially, I really like the Feelings Buried Alive one has a nice card that we use often for our emotional release classes. And if that's something that interests you, I know CARE, the Center for
Yeah.
Aromatherapy Research and Education, who does the Raindrop, emotional release is a class that they also offer that you can get certified in, and it'll have all these books in there. And it's a like 2-day thing, and they'll walk you through everything.
Yeah,
So
that I'm so glad you brought CARE up. CARE, yeah, Center for Emotional, what is it? CARE, Center for Aromatherapy
uh,
Research and Education.
research and
Yeah, and
education, yeah.
so, and the website for that is raindroptraining.com. And that's Dr.
Right.
Stewart's, excuse me, the author of this book.
Right.
That's his website. He's over in Missouri, and you can go on that website and you can look at their calendar, and you can see where those classes are being taught all over the country, probably around the world too. Yeah. There are certified people that teach that, and that emotional release class, and it's a procedure. Like, you lay on a massage table. Right. There's just an order of things you do with all these different oils, and it's amazing and wonderful. I'll put one more thing I want to say. Like, I've done that CARE class twice, and I just always encourage people to do it, because your learning will just jump huge when you just in a couple of days going to that class. But I remember when we did the Raindrop, we all got turns to do the Raindrop, and one of the things they always talked about was, as you're getting this raindrop, make note of where you're feeling a sensation in your body. Right. Whether it's a little pain or a little ache or a little buzz, or, whatever it is. So, right. Just remember where that was. And then after we do the raindrop, we looked it up in the Blue Book on the alarm points. And I remember then, I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh yeah, that sure applies. Something I'm dealing with right now, or whatever it was. So that's another time that you can think about that. So anything else?
Before we go, let's talk super briefly. Like, I'm just going to tell you guys, because I know when I go to a class, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was like so much information. I'm just going to tell you right now 3 of my favorite oils that I'm using right now for emotion, because I have a bunch of oils out here. So is that okay,
please,
Allison?
do it.
Give them some concrete. So my number one right now, Gratitude. So it smells amazing, but I've been a little cranky, let's just say, lately. So every morning when I do my Bible time and I do my gratitude list, which I do every day, I either diffuse this or use this. and it's making a difference. It's all about changing that mindset, right? So gratitude. This one I don't even know if you can get. It's called
Oh,
Build
I
Your
love
Dream,
that. I think
and
you can get it.
it's amazing for sort of like those mental blocks, getting you over the hump. And it doesn't have to be your young living dream, whatever you know you feel like you're struggling with. So Build Your Dream is my other one. And then this is the only oil that has ever literally made me swoon. I mean, like, whoa, swoon the first time that I smelled it, and that's Inner
Oh,
Child.
wow. That's so
Um,
interesting.
and so I'm a super green personality, which means I don't really know how to have fun, apparently. So Inner Child, I think, is a must for me because it just helps me not take life
Hmm.
quite so
Hmm.
seriously. So
Okay,
those are
I'll
my three. I hope you
I'll give
guys
you
like
my
them.
three. Um, well, sage is something which I already told you about that
Yeah.
I have been using lately. And then two other ones that I love, and I always love them and have for quite a while are Gathering and Highest Potential. And I always
Yes.
remember, actually, I'm going to look it up real fast here. Let's see, would I look it up? Where do I look that up?
And I actually have Highest Potential here too. I don't have Gathering because my kids swipe my Gathering all the time, even though we have like 3 bottles.
Gathering. Listen to this first line. This is in the EODR I have right here, the desk
Right.
reference, but it should be in the small one too. This blend is created to help us overcome the bombardment of chaotic energy that alters our focus and takes us off our path toward higher achievements. But I love that bombardment of chaotic energy. I mean, no,
Yeah. Pretty much
it's
momhood.
momhood, yeah. And I love the smell of it. And Gathering is part of Highest Potential. So Highest Potential is Gathering plus some
Yes.
other stuff. And I
Yes.
probably prefer Higher Potential actually to Gathering, but I love that description of Gathering. So
Yes.
anyway,
Exactly.
okay. Hi
Exactly.
Pam. I didn't get to say hi to Pam. All right. Well, anything else, Carrie, before we go?
No, I don't think so. I hope we didn't spill too much out at you guys. I think what I would like you guys to take away from all of this is the oils are there for you. They have both a physical, a spiritual, and an emotional component to them. And so why not use them for all
Absolutely.
three, right? You're a whole person. You have to treat yourself as a
Right.
whole.
Awesome. Well, Carrie, thank you. I think, people will just take a couple of nuggets from that and hopefully go, you know, improve their lives. And that's what I think
Yeah,
we're all passionate about
absolutely.
is helping people do that in a natural way. So thank you so much. This was
Absolutely.
so fun. We will do it again.
Yeah,
We
thanks,
will do it again
guys.
for sure. And you guys ask questions in the comments if you want on this, and link it to anybody else that's in this group that you think wants to watch it, or tag them and stuff like that. So, all right, have a great day. It's time to go. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.